Have you ever had to show an app to your grandparents and all you get back is a blank stare? Or have you ever had to explain to somebody at work why something isn't possible when they have no idea what you do or how you do it? How do you take a complicated topic and boil it down to a simple explanation? As a product manager, one of the most important parts of my job is relaying information. But I think getting really good at explaining things is a superpower, no matter who you are. And lately, this is something that I've been working really hard on. So in this video, I want to share 3 steps I follow based on studying some of the best explainers in the world. Step 1 is to consider my audience.
You see, when you ask why something happens, how does a person answer why something happens?
That's Richard Feynman. He's a Nobel Prize-winning physicist who's also really well known for his lectures where he explains complicated scientific concepts.
Now, when you explain a why, you have to be in some framework that you allow something to be true. Otherwise, you're perpetually asking why. For example, Aunt Minnie is in a hospital. Why? She went out and she slipped on the ice and broke her hip. Why did she slip on the ice? Why is ice slippery? Why on ice and not on other things? Why does water expand when it freezes and other substances don't expand when they freeze? All right? I'm not answering your question, but I'm telling you how difficult a why question is. You have to know what it is that you're permitted to understand and allowed to be understood and known, and what it is you're not.
He's saying that it's really important to understand context. The way I would talk to my mom would be completely different from the way I would talk to an engineer, or maybe an entire team of sales reps. So for instance, if I was really excited to share the news about this latest feature I've been working on, I would need to consider how my mom is probably most interested in my thoughts and experiences. If I was talking to an engineer who's on a different team, he would probably want to know the nitty-gritty details of how we built the feature and how does it affect his work. And if I were talking to an entire team of salespeople, I would have to consider how much each person knows about the product already. Are they new to the company or have they been here for a long time? And then I would focus less on how we built the feature and then more on why customers would want to use it. How might they want to sell this? It's the same topic, but I can approach it from 3 different angles. Step 2 would be to walk the people I'm talking to from what they know to what they want to know, step by step. I used to always want to be really brief and concise because I was so afraid of wasting people's time. But I quickly found out that by doing this, I was doing them a disservice because I was just leaving them confused and missing out on a lot of important details.
Here's the argument. Ready?
This is Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's an astrophysicist who's also pretty well known for being able to explain the universe in everyday language.
Our computing power is growing rapidly. Imagine a day where you can simulate a world so perfectly with life forms, humans, so well that you can recreate every single neurosynaptic thought you could have, but now you're in the simulation on the computer. So now that world evolves and they develop computing power.
Right.
And they say, we want to play video games.
So now we're going to make a world. Okay.
And then
They make
do
a
it.
world.
And then they make a world all the way on down. So now close your eyes, throw a dart. Which of these universes are you going to land in? The first one that's real or the gazillion that are not?
See how he walked us through the simulation hypothesis step by step? In my case, I learned that whenever I was discussing a new feature, it was better off for me to take a step back and remind people how the existing product works before jumping right into how we're going to build a new feature. I needed to stop assuming that everybody in the room was already on the same page before I even began. But sometimes, even if I've already considered my audience, even if I walk them through the logic step by step, the thing I'm trying to explain is so complicated that people get lost in the details. This is where step 3 comes in. In step 3, I filter my entire explanation through a lens that people are already familiar with, so it makes it easier for them to understand. So remember Bill Nye the Science Guy?
The reason we have seasons on Earth is because the Earth is tilted. Now let's say that this is the Earth, and there's an imaginary line going through the middle of it called the Earth's axis. It's tilted, and it stays tilted as the Earth goes around the sun. When the part of the Earth that you're on is tilted toward the sun, it's summertime there. So when it's summertime here at Nye Laboratories, on the other side of the world, it's wintertime in places like South America and Australia. When the part of the Earth that we're on is tilted away from the sun, it's wintertime here. And it's summertime on the other side of the world. Isn't that wild? All because the Earth's axis is tilted.
Instead of just talking, he used a physical demonstration to show his point. And it doesn't have to be a physical demonstration every time either. I might use graphs and charts in case there are numbers and data that I need to explain. I might use stories and anecdotes if, say, we're explaining things at the dinner table. Or I might use illustrations. So here's a handy little illustration of how I explain complicated topics. I start with my audience. I figure out what they know and what they want to know. Then I take them step by step from what they know to what they want to know. And I make sure to filter that explanation with a more familiar concept. One of the ways that I try to really improve both the form and the content of my explanations is by reading a lot. And if you're interested in my process of how I do that, you might be interested in watching this video, where I walk you through how I take notes in an app called Obsidian. Later on, I take those notes and use them as a reference for whenever I have to dive deeper on a topic that I need to explain. Hope this helps. See you next time. Bye!